Adventure Time loves a good mystery. What caused the Mushroom War? Why does the Ice King remember Betty? How did Marceline survive the apocalypse? The show answers some of these questions, others it leaves hanging in the air like smoke. But two mysteries about Finn's father have stuck with fans longer than most. In the Distant Lands special BMO, a character appears on a space station called the Drift. He's wearing a helmet, goes by Mr. M. He acts suspicious, betrays everyone, nearly gets them all killed, and the episode never says who he is. Never shows his face, just Mr. M. Fans had theories immediately. The voice, the behavior, the initial, everything pointed to one direction. But the show never confirmed it, just left us guessing. Then there's the other Martin mystery, the one from the original series. Martin Mertens ends up in the Citadel, this interdimensional prison for cosmic criminals, beings who've committed crimes so massive that they threaten the fabric of reality itself. And somehow, Finn's deadbeat dad is locked up right alongside some other pretty horrible creatures. The show never explains why, just calls it a cosmic crime. That's it, no backstory, nothing at all. Martin himself doesn't even seem to remember what he did that landed him here. So, we're left with these two questions. Who is the mysterious Mr. M? And what did Martin do that was so catastrophically bad that it landed him in the worst prison in existence? Well, we spent hours digging through episodes, tracking timelines, connecting pieces that seemed a bit unrelated, and here's what we think. These aren't two separate mysteries. They're the same mystery. And solving one means solving both. Today, we're going to figure out who M really is, and what Martin's cosmic crime was to turn a con artist from Earth into one of the multiverse's most wanted criminals. Let's start with what we know about Martin Mertens. Finn spends years wondering about his biological father. Who was he? Where did he go? Did he even care about him? The questions eat away at him. So when Finn finally gets a lead and actually learns that his dad is alive, imprisoned in the Crystal Citadel, he drops everything to find him. Finn and Jake break into the interdimensional prison, navigate past cosmic criminals, ancient beings that made the Ice King look kind of like a parking ticket, and there, frozen in crystal, is the human Martin. Finn has been dreaming about this moment, building it up, imagining the reunion. Martin wakes up, looks at Finn, and the first thing he says,
"Son? Oh, hey, good for you, kid. In other news, I still gotta get out of here and the ground is melting." Huh.
No real recognition or even emotional connection. Within minutes, Martin loses a part of his leg, gaslights Finn into helping him, and tries to escape again. Finn's holding onto him, begging him to stay.
Dad, wait!
Loses his arm, and Martin just shakes away into space without looking back. That's our introduction to Martin Mertens, a guy who just leaves while his son is screaming for him to come back. But this isn't really new behavior, this is kinda who Martin has always been. We learn more in Min and Marty, a later episode that shows Marvin's past. He's with Minerva, Finn's mom, on the human islands. And at first, he seems almost decent. Charming, funny, the kind of guy who makes Minerva laugh, even if he does have a mysterious backstory. They're happy together, though.
How would you con me?
I wouldn't con you. I want to have dinner with you.
Then Minerva gets pregnant. They have Finn, and Martin, he's still there. He's still trying. You can see him making an effort. Then one day, Martin's past catches up with him when he tried conning the wrong people. He gets in trouble, takes a bad hit to the head trying to protect baby Finn, and wakes up with no memories of his old life. And here's where it gets complicated. Some fans theorize that Martin was always as selfish as he is, always ready to run away and fend for himself. Well, we've said that in the past as well in our videos, to be honest. Others, though, think that the head wound changed him, turned him into something who couldn't really connect emotionally anymore. It broke whatever part of him knew how to stay and connect with his family. Either way, the result is the same. Martin leaves, doesn't really get to know Finn, just walks away from his entire family like they were strangers. Because perhaps to him, they are. Later episodes show this pattern repeating, like in The Visitor, where Martin tricked an entire civilization to help him again, but when Finn gets close and responsibility appears, he finds a way out. He always has a reason or an excuse. But the excuses don't matter when you're the kid he left behind, right?
I always planned to come back for you, but I didn't. That's true.
With the latter backstory, we can sort of piece together the type of man he used to be and then who he became. A con artist, a deserter, someone who spent his entire life slipping away from anything that might tie him down. Which brings us back to the original question. What did this guy do that was so bad he ended up in the Citadel? This prison doesn't just hold shoplifters or tax evaders, it holds the Lich. It holds beings that threaten reality itself. Martin is a selfish coward, sure, but cosmic criminal? That is a different level entirely. Except we do know he was in space. Somehow, this con artist from Earth ended up traveling between worlds, and somewhere along the way, he did something. Something big enough to catch the attention of cosmic authorities. Something that made the universe itself decide this guy needs to be locked away where he can't hurt anyone else. So, what was it? The answer is in the Distant Lands special, with a man in a helmet who goes by a one-letter name, M. This episode takes place in space, on a station called the Drift. It's this ramshackle collection of ships and debris held together, populated by all kinds of beings just trying to survive out in the void. We like to think of it like a truck stop, but cosmic. People pass through, some stay, everyone's got a story. BMO ends up there after drifting through space for who knows how long. The Drift's community seems welcoming. BMO tries to help everyone he can. And then we're introduced to this mysterious M. He's having some henchmen gather a photon transmogger, using force if necessary. And right away we can tell something's off. He doesn't sound like a peaceful individual, or one that would take care of his friends or anyone around him. When we finally do see him, his helmet never comes off. He's evasive when people ask questions. But everything he does say seems convincing enough. BMO ends up helping him, if that's what you call it. Really, BMO just offers to retrieve a Genesis crystal from the dangerous jungle pod. And when he does, the jungle pod tries to kill BMO, getting even more dangerous once he really gets the crystal. And that's when M tells BMO to throw the crystal to him so that BMO can run faster to save himself. And then he just shuts the door on him, effectively ending BMO's life. Well, later on, BMO is revived, but this whole incident shows the way that M operates. He tricks people and abandons people, and he'll abandon everything he has if it is to personally gain from it. So when Hugo finally has the Genesis crystal to power his escape pod, Mr. M does what he does best.
Well, time for me to get the heck out of here.
Let them all die while he escapes. And his plan nearly works. The Drift almost gets destroyed with everyone on it. Hundreds of beings almost die. BMO and the others barely manage to stop the catastrophe. And in the chaos, M gets away. That's the episode. Mystery character shows up, betrays everyone, escapes. Roll credits. Let's go through the evidence here. Okay, first, the voice. Mr. M is voiced by Stephen Root. You know who else Stephen Root voices in Adventure Time? Martin Mertens. Same actor, same gruff tone. That is not a coincidence. Second, the dialogue is something to point out. At one point, M makes this kind of offhand comment while watching a family.
Ha! Kids, right? Always calling out their deadbeat parents.
Deadbeat parents. This is a guy in a helmet on a space station making a joke about deadbeat dads. It's so on the nose that it's basically winking at the camera at this point. But third, the foot. M presents himself as maybe a cyborg, maybe an alien, something non-human potentially. But then his boot comes off and we see it, a human foot. He's probably wearing that costume to stay human, as we've seen how Hugo was transformed into an alien hybrid. Fourth, the catchphrase. When M's ejected from the Drift, he yells,
Well, here comes the rascal.
That exact phrase shows up in Min and Marty when Martin's fighting a monster, as well as on the Lamb. Word for word, too, same energy. Fifth, the behavior. M is selfish, manipulative, willing to sacrifice everyone to save himself. Charming when it suits him, callous when it doesn't. Does any of this sound familiar? Because it's exactly how Martin acts in every episode he's in, and exactly the same as M. And sixth, the storyboard. Someone actually leaked production art from the episode, and in the storyboard notes, the character isn't labeled Mr. M, he's labeled M. Mertens. Martin Mertens. The show did everything except have him take off the helmet, basically, at this point. Even the Adventure Time wiki lists Mr. M as an alias of Martin Mertens. So that's that mystery solved, if you can even call it a mystery at this point. But here's what's interesting. Everyone was so focused on the identity that they missed the bigger picture. This episode takes place before Martin gets imprisoned, before the Citadel, out in space. What if this episode is showing us exactly why Martin ends up in the Citadel? To figure that out, we first need to understand what cosmic crimes actually are, which Prismo can tell us right away.
Check this out. Only the worst of the worst end up there. Real stink faces. These guys are the pits. The armpits.
We just saw 3 examples of cosmic crimes: mass decapitation and head eating, planet dicing, and being some kind of evil alien bureaucrat. The only one not shown that is mentioned in the show is killing a cosmic wishmaster. So how does that relate to Martin? The answer is in what the drift actually is. Look at the episode again. Really look at it. The drift is a community of multiple species living together, different beings from across space, all coexisting peacefully. Why? How? Where's this from? Well, it could be that the drift serves a crucial function in the cosmic order of things. Maybe it's become this sort of way station, a neutral zone where beings from different dimensions or different planets can meet, trade, resupply. Perhaps it's the future variant of Switzerland, we don't really know that. Whatever its exact purpose though, the drift matters. And Martin willingly helped Hugo to try and destroy it, just because he wanted to survive and didn't care what happened to others. The station could have collapsed. Everyone could have died, who knows how many. An entire node of cosmic infrastructure could have been wiped out. And Martin would have shrugged and kept flying. It's cosmic negligence on a scale that threatens the fabric of how things work, kind of on par with the first example that Prismo showed as a cosmic crime. The crime is what they potentially almost caused. He tries getting away like he always does too, and that hints that he could have done this before and might continue to do it. Except this time, he might have messed up even bigger than before. The people of the drift survive, they rebuild, and eventually the information about the events reaches cosmic authorities. Maybe they even get a notification the same way that Prismo did with his universe breach alarm, and that might place him on a wanted list, the same one we've seen Scarab have, which we'll get back to later. Somewhere in the cosmic bureaucracy, a file opens. The hunt begins. And here's where Adam Muto's explanation comes in. The showrunner said in a Q&A that Martin didn't have one specific crime. Instead, he just kept pulling bigger and bigger crimes until one of them found him being locked up in the Citadel. So at first, it sounds like Martin just kept escalating and escalating, kept doing worse and worse things. But what if it's just simpler than that? What if the drift itself was already big enough and he didn't even need to do worse? The storyboards of Fionna and Cake even confirmed this. He's wearing that same helmet he wore when he was M in the BMO episode on that wanted list. Martin has spent years already running from Earth, not committing massive crimes, just surviving and maybe doing small cons here and there, stealing enough to get by, moving from place to place, station to station, planet to planet, always one step ahead, perhaps always doing a little bit of damage. But eventually, Martin runs out of places to hide. Cosmic law enforcement catches up to him. Maybe he makes a mistake, maybe someone recognizes him, maybe he just gets unlucky. Maybe it was directly after the happenings of the drift. Well, however it happens, they get him. They lock him up in the Citadel, which is where Finn finds him. And from what we know, he stays there for years, frozen, until a desperate kid breaks into the most dangerous prison in existence looking for his dad. So that's the timeline. Every piece fits. And here's the brutal irony of it all. Martin spent his whole life running from responsibility, from Minerva, from Finn, from anyone who needed him to stay. And every time he got away with it. No consequences, no punishment, just freedom. Then he tries to run from the drift, does the same thing he's always done, look out for himself, forget everyone else, and slip away into the void. And this time, the universe says no. This time there's nowhere left to run, until Finn shows up and breaks him out. And what does Martin do the second he's free? He runs, of course. But that's not the last time we see him. We see Martin again when the Catalyst comet arrives, this cosmic entity that reincarnates every 1,000 years as an agent of change. It brought about Finn's existence in a past life. It brought about the Lich, and now it's offering a choice for Finn to stay in this reality or transcend to something new. And Martin doesn't hesitate. He goes with it.
You burn enough bridges, the only direction to move is forward.
Finn refuses to merge with the comet, so Martin takes it instead, leaves this plane of existence entirely. Bye-bye. The ultimate escape, right? Running to another state of being as long as he can avoid his responsibilities. And Finn watches his father disappear. Again. Now, here's something interesting. The Adventure Time creative team didn't always plan for Martin to be this way. There are actually cut storyboards from Season 4 from the Lich episode. In the original version, Billy was going to explain that Martin was a great warrior who was unlawfully cast into the Citadel, wrongfully imprisoned. Maybe Billy even put him there by accident. The idea was Martin might have actually been a hero once, someone who didn't deserve this fate. But they actually scrapped this version. The writers looked at that sympathetic backstory and they were like, nope, that's not who Martin is. Martin is not a tragic figure, he is not wrongfully imprisoned, he earned that spot in the crystal cell. Fast forward to 2023, Adventure Time Fionna and Cake, and there's a scene where the Scarab has a list of criminals. This list shows names and crimes. And there, among beings who violated cosmic law, M. Mertens, desertion. So what is this desertion charge about? This could be the Catalyst comet, but it could also still be a reference to his desertion of the Drift or the Citadel. So, let's bring this full circle. We started with two mysteries. Who is Mr. M, and what was Martin's cosmic crime that landed him in prison? And everything pointed in the same direction. Storyboards naming Mertens as M, Adam Muto's interview, Martin Mertens wearing that helmet on his mugshot on the Scarab's list, and his crime being desertion. Everything adds up. But there's an even bigger mystery. If the Scarab who is hunting down Martin is on the same level as Prismo, and there are beings above them with even more power, then who is their boss? A mystery I think that we have solved, so click here to watch it.